I'm going to turn now to a discussion of how the day works, what it's going to look like as you judge these various formats. So I'll run through the logistics of what the day will look like, starting with the essay and the web judges. Now your day on the day of the fair is an easy day for you. You've done your work prior to the fair. You've looked at the essays, you've looked at the websites, you've conferred with your fellow judge, you've picked the top 3 for going to state or the best for runoffs, and you've filled out your judge sheets. When you are done with that, then you come on the day of the fair, and all you have to do is the interview portion. So for you, the day of the fair is a really fun day. And we will have a set of appointments for you, the students' names and projects, and you show up and you just have a conversation with them. And again, I'll talk more about the interview portion later. For everybody else, you're doing your work on the day of the fair. For the displays, the performance, and the documentary, you are judging on the day of the fair, and this is how that judging will work. So let me begin by talking about how displays work on the day. When you are sent off to look at the displays, you'll go into a room. There'll be numerous displays set up. They have numbers, and you have a sheet that indicates the project number you're looking at, and that is listed out for you to see all of the ones you're responsible for looking at. Usually it's between 8 and 11 displays that you're looking at. You have 1 hour and a half, usually from 9 to 10:30, in which you look at all of the displays on your list. You start to write your judge notes, but you can't complete your judge sheet in that time allotted. So just some preliminary notes, but you're doing the ranking, right? You're looking and picking the best ones. You need to make sure that there's time for you to talk with your fellow judge, because you don't always agree. So you need to have time to confer and go back and forth. And by 10:30, we need to get from you your ranking list, either those that are going to run off or the final choices. Then at 10:30, we grab your ranking list from you, and then we send the students in to talk to you. And then you do the interviews with the students. So what you do is you stand in front of the first display on your list, the student comes, you talk with them, pointing to their display, and then you usher in the next student when you're done with that interview. And again, that's the fun part, talking with these students about their projects, what they learned from it, what challenges they ran into, etc. So when you're done with those interviews, then you're done with that judging portion, and then you can take the time to complete your judge sheets. You are not going to have time to fully write out all of your judge sheets before 10:30. What we can't have you do is spend a lot of time writing lengthy judge sheets on the first 3 projects, and you never get to see the rest of them and make that evaluation. So it is a look through, an evaluation for an hour and a half, do the interviews, and then take your time writing lengthy and extensive comments. And then you have lunch, and then you're free. Here, the day is over. So that's how the display works. Performance and media works a little bit differently. You have 20-minute segments for each of the projects on your list. You have 20-minute, basically, appointments with those projects. And the way it works is this. You sit there in the room, let's say for the media. The students come. They have a few minutes to set up, which means figuring out their technology, getting the sound right. They present you their bibliography. They announce their project. They're supposed to. They're usually too nervous to remember, but they're supposed to announce their project, give you the bibliography, hit the play button, and then you watch the documentary or you watch the performance. It should be 10 minutes. One of you should be keeping an eye on the time. I guess this is old-fashioned with your phone, keeping an eye on the time. There's a 10-minute limit. When that is over, then they break down. They take their DVD out, or they break down their set in the performance, and then they come and they sit with you, and you do the interview right there. So you're talking with them while the next group is getting set up. Now what this means is, for media and performance, when you're doing the interview, you're doing it in a room full of people. And as I'm going to talk about later, this interview is not an unpleasant experience. It's a nice chat. Everybody in the room can listen in and enjoy it. But the reality is you're going to have parents listening, teachers listening, people coming in and out the door because that's the passing time in the room. You are going to be doing that with an audience, but you need to just stay focused and chatting with the student. One of the important things to remember as you're in the room, media and performance, is you need to periodically remind people to turn off their phones, because that's a chronic problem. You need to ask one of the adults, and the teachers that have done this before already know this. Have an adult near the door, close the door, and they only open it when that showing is done to try and minimize the disruption. But I'll tell you this right now, there's going to be people busting in through the door. People's phones will go off. Your job as a judge is to stay focused. You owe it to the students to not be distracted, to have them see that you are not distracted, that you give the full focus to that media, to that performance, so they don't feel they've been disadvantaged. And that's really an important responsibility because we can't always control what's going on in the background. Now, when you are done viewing and you've done the interview, then you can scribble some notes to yourself as the next group is setting up. But obviously, you don't have time to fill out your judge sheets. That's also going to happen when you're done with this process. You look at project after project, you watch it, you do the interviews, the next one comes, and when it's all done, then the room empties, or you come back to the judge's room and you spend time filling out your judge sheets based on your comments that you've made to yourself, based on your bibliography that you received, etc. And you guys make your evaluations, your ranking decisions. So it's a different setup than the displays. You see everything all at once, do the interviews all at once, and then you make your ranking decisions.